Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and if you haven't hit subscribe already, please do so you can be updated with the latest videos, and it also supports the channel. So today's video is about 2 keys in mindfulness that support emotion regulation. And what I mean by emotion regulation is understanding your emotions and making sure you're bringing yourself back to normal when you're in a heightened state of emotion or heightened emotional state. What I mean by this is when you're angry, you're annoyed, you're freaked out, you're panicked, you're anxious, how do you bring yourself back to normal once again? So the first thing, when I was thinking about making this video, the first thing that came to my mind is self-acceptance in mindfulness. So when you practice mindfulness, you try and accept everything that comes to your mind. You accept your thoughts, your feelings, your behavior. But a lot of the times those thoughts, feelings are connected to other people and not really to yourself. And in mindfulness meditation, when you practice it, there will be 2 parts of introspection that you do. One is introspecting how you respond to other people and events outside of you. And the other part of the introspection is how you respond to yourself and how much of the emotion comes from your past and your own concept of yourself. So self-acceptance is the first key to emotion regulation. Self-acceptance means that you accept whatever you're feeling, whatever comes from your past, and you tolerate that feeling for some time. So when you're annoyed, when you're angry, when you're anxious, when you're upset, make sure you accept yourself in that situation. So for example, when I'm angry or I'm upset, something's really pissing me off, I have to think about how am I feeling in this moment. So firstly, I need to label those feelings for myself. So I could say I'm feeling really disgusted by this person. I could say I'm feeling really upset because things are out of my control at this point. I could say this person is being really unfair. This person is being very unfair with me. And as I say those things, a lot of memories from the past could come back, which I need to accept about myself. Yes, these have been my experiences, and that could possibly cloud my judgment of the situation outside. So self-acceptance is not just accepting what's happening to you in that moment, but how much of that comes from your past that contributes to that emotion or to that feeling or to that thought. And that is what self-acceptance is, bringing up the self from your past into the present and accepting it. And sometimes it can be quite difficult to do that because you would say, what has my past got to do with my present if I've been living in the moment? I need to just think about living in the moment. But the thing is, a lot of who you are in the moment does come from your past. So you need to think about accepting that person that experience is bringing up. So every experience brings up a different part of you from your past. And a lot of the times, this is how we build different and new patterns in life of how we respond to different things. So making sure you're accepting that person that comes from your past into the present and how those past experiences are contributing to that thought or emotion. So just understanding this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling angry because of this and this situation. A lot of things from the past could trigger saying, oh yeah, this has happened to me in the past. This always happens to me. And the moment you say that, a lot of things from the past could trigger, which you're not aware of in the moment. So it would be worth just sitting there and introspecting on who you are in the present moment and whether it's triggering any past memories or feelings that you felt before, really heavy feelings. And sometimes you would notice that the emotional response that you're having to certain events is way more intense for the situation. So the situation could be very simple and very menial, and it could be something very petty, but the emotional response that you're having is just so huge. It's so huge. And a lot of the times that comes from built up patterns from the past where you felt the same emotion on certain events and you've not been aware of it, but you felt it, but you've suppressed it. So it will come back in your present moment and you need to accept that. And when you accept yourself, you need to accept yourself with love and kindness, not with criticism. So don't say, yeah, this is how I'm feeling. This is how I always feel. That's not the kind of language you want to use towards yourself. You want to say, it is okay that this has happened to me in the past. it is okay that I'm feeling this. I understand my patterns and I'm ready to accept that. I'm ready to change that, but I need to be kind to myself to be able to change that. So really making sure you're accepting yourself in that moment and accepting your whole self, not just the person you see, but the person that's coming out, the emotions that are coming out from the past. So making sure you accept yourself with love and kindness. And that's the first key to emotional regulation in any kind of situation, in any kind of environment, in any context. The second thing is creating a gap between stimulus and response. And a lot of the times I remember when I was young, my mum would tell me, you're cranky because you're hungry. And I know a lot of research has proven that when you're hungry, you do get cranky. But my mum would tell me, I think you're really annoyed. Or when I would have, fights with my sister and we would be in this anger rage with each other, she'd be like, both of you need to have dinner and then you'll be fine. And what that would really do is, even though I wasn't feeling fine, even though I didn't believe that was going to be fine, I was still going to be upset with my sister. It created a gap between the kind of triggers that cause that anger. And after you've eaten dinner, it's created such a big gap for that response to fully explode. So it's really important to create a gap between stimulus and response. And that's what mindfulness is all about, creating that gap and becoming aware of what's happening in that gap. And that gives you different perspectives of the situation and also changes your emotions in a lot of ways because you get those different perspectives. So how you could create that gap between stimulus and response is firstly becoming aware of the emotion. So when you self-accept, when you take time to accept what's happening to you in that situation, you're already introspecting, you're already taking time to become aware. And that is in itself creating a gap between your actual reaction and the stimulus. So something's happened, you're taking that time to understand yourself, to accept whatever horrible feelings you're feeling, and that's creating a little bit of a gap. And if you think you often don't give yourself enough time to self-accept and introspect and look at things in a different way, and you don't really take that time off, there are certain tasks you could do. One of those tasks is cleaning. And it's a really interesting one because cleaning can be very satisfying. Cleaning, gardening, cleaning your car, doing like little bit of cleaning things or daily chores that you would do, because that can be very satisfying and it can be very cathartic in some ways. You can vent it out. You can just clean stuff, and cleaning on the outside feels like you're cleaning something on the inside as well. So making sure, if something is bothering you, something is making you angry, upset, making you feel really negative, make sure you do a little bit of a cleaning activity on the outside in your environment. The second thing you could do is eat a really nice meal. So you could do some cooking to make a really nice meal for yourself. And a lot of the times you would notice that you're angry, you're upset because you've not eaten anything properly. It's wrong to feed your emotions, but it's not wrong to actually eat something healthy and cook something to create that gap between the trigger and the response, the stimulus and response. So you could probably make yourself a sandwich. You could cut some salad up, you could eat some salad. You could go to the supermarket, get something you like, cook something and make sure you're eating a meal. So that's the second thing you could do to create a gap between stimulus and response. The third thing you can do is take a nice bath or a shower, or just wash your face, or, do something to do with cleaning your body. So a shower, a bath, washing your face, also using some face pack, doing some self-care things, putting some nail paint on if you're a girl, if you're a guy, maybe shaving your beard and doing a little bit of self-care thing between stimulus and response. And now you would tell me that, of course, I can't do these things at work. Of course you can't. You can't do these things at work. And a lot of the times when you're in those moments, you're in a very inconvenient place to do these kind of things. But in those moments, of course, breathing exercises work really well. So, or going out for a walk, or going outdoors in the sun, or just going to your car and listening to some music. So a lot of the times when I'm upset at work, what I do is in my break or lunch times, I just go to my car and listen to the radio for some time. And then I come back and I have a completely different perspective. So I just take some time out. So in workplaces, in situations where you feel like you have to repress your feelings, you have to repress your opinion, to keep the peace with your colleagues or your manager or your boss, in those situations, make sure you take a time out of the environment. So just making sure you leave the environment for some time and then come back to it. So you could go for a walk, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time. It can just be 5 minutes. And if you give yourself those 5 minutes to just digest and, to just introspect a little bit, to accept yourself in that moment, it will give you some time to relax and calm down. And then when you come home, you could meditate on it. If that feeling comes back, you can use other kind of things I mentioned to create that stimulus and response gap. And in that gap, you can introspect and you can think about it, because a lot of time people don't meditate. And how can you be mindful without meditating? So mindfulness can be practiced in your daily activities through these little tasks, through these little exercises, without actually having to meditate, because you're really letting yourself accept what's happened. You're living in the moment, you're tolerating the feelings that are coming up, and that's the cycle of acceptance. So you can be mindful in those ways to regulate your emotions and your emotional responses. So I hope this little video has helped you. And if it has, please do let me know in the comments, and please do like, share and comment. And if you have any questions or concerns, all my information is in the description box below. So take care of yourself and have a great week.